All right, welcome to, and just welcome. All right, so we're doing solving quadratics by completing the square. The learner you will complete a square to form a perfect trinomial, then use the perfect square to solve quadratic equations. So, what are we looking at here? What we're looking at is, that's a good question. What are we looking at? Okay, you did this. Yesterday you said, okay, divide by 2, or Friday you were, or whatever, the previous day, you divided the middle term, the number in front of the x by 2, and you got some number, like, well, 10 divided by 2 is 5. So that would be the number that goes in parentheses. And then you would square that, and you would have 25. And what that allows is now this x squared plus 10x plus 25 is now a perfect square that allows it to be factored into, changed into that x plus 5 squared. So now how does that help me in solving? Well, that's a good question. Here we go. Let's start off with this. So you have something like this. Okay, we divide the 6 by 2, we get negative 3. Or notice minus 3 is right there. Okay, now we're going to square that and get the 9. Okay, so we're going to add 9. But hey, we're adding 9 on one side. What about the other side? I need to add the 9 to the other side. Again, remember, algebra is all about being fair, guys. So you got to be fair. If you're doing something on one side, you got to do it on the other side. So if you're adding 9 on one side, guess what? You're going to add 9 on the other side, because you got to add 9 to both. So now I got 7 plus 9 is 16. Well, golly gee whiz, Alex, what do I do from there? Well, guess what? Now you get to take the square root. See, the opposite of a square is a square root. And when you take the square root, take the square root over there too. Now, realize this. In algebra, or algebraically, when you take the square root, you are taking the square root of both like you're going to get a positive and negative answer. That's where the plus and minus comes in. So in this case, notice all that does is get rid of the parentheses on the left side. But the square root of 16 is 4, and that means you will put plus and minus 4. What does that mean? It means you're going to say x minus 3 is equal to positive 4, or x minus 3 is equal to negative 4. Okay, so in other words, you're going to do both. And then you're just going to add 3 to both sides and get 7 or negative 1. And there's your two answers. Okay, and again, our idea here is that we also understand the process, because we're wondering if this could appear on the star where you have to do the process. So let's look at another problem. Bada bing, bada boom. Uh-oh, look at this. I have a number here. That number's in the way. Got to get rid of the number. Okay, so we're going to move that 3 to the other side. So when I move the 3 to the other side, because I only want the x squared and the minus 12x on the left side. So I'm going to move that to the other side. So I'm going to say minus 3, and get 5. So now I've got this. What's half of 12? 6. Minus 6, notice. So, and then I'm going to square that, 36. Add 36 to 5. I get 41. Take the square root. And again, just get the decimal answer, plus or minus 6 point something, 6.4. Okay, so when I take the square root of this, I get an approximate answer of 6.4. Okay, so now I'm going to add 6, and then I'm going to both sides and see what happens. Notice it was plus, positive, and a negative. So you get 12.4 and you get 0.4, negative 0.4. And that's it. So again, we need to make sure we divide by 2, square it. That number, when we divide by 2, will become the number in the parentheses. Whatever we put as a square, we've got to do it the same over here. And thus, now we need to take the square root. Okay, so again, most of these, here's another one where I'm going to move the 16 over. Notice I moved it over. Half of 6 is 3. Adding 9, get 25. Square root of 25 is 5. Notice again, every time plus and minus 5. So now I got to subtract 3 from both sides, and I'll get 2 and negative 8. Again, guys, if you want to pause or anything, you can pause at these any time. I mean, this is just the third example. But notice, all of these had no number in front of the x squared. So what do we do if there's a number in front of the x squared? That's a good question. Let's look. Here's all you got to do. First off, before you do anything, you want to get rid of that number in front of the x squared. So we need to divide by the number in front of the x squared. So whatever number is in front of the x squared, divide by it. So dividing by 3, I get x squared minus 3x minus 1 equals 7. And then start doing what you have to do. Move the 1 over. Divide the 3 by 2. Oh no, I'm going to get fractions. You'll be fine. Here's the fraction. Okay, so I'm going to add 9/4. Add 9/4 over here. You have a calculator, folks, so don't get all panicky. So you add 9, you get 40. If you say 8 plus 9/4 on the calculator, it would tell you it's 41/4. Yeah, it's okay. Look, you're still doing the same steps. You want to approximate that 41/4 is 3.2. Happy joy once you take the square root. Because guess what? Once you type in this to take a square root, the calculator is automatically going to give you a decimal. Add 3/2 to both sides. And then, which is really 1.5. And you get 4.7 and negative 1.7. And then you're done. And that's it. So the main idea here is that if there is a number in front, all you got to do is make sure you divide. Anyways, that's really about it. I mean, the main thing is, again, that you've gotten warmed up with what we did Friday, or what we did the previous day. And so here we go. We just did this and we're ready to go. I'll see y'all next time. Y'all take care.